this will probably be the final instalment on making the rock wall facings. I had a review of the last ones I worked on, and unfortunately you got to see a lot of the back of my hand. So I've done this new one. I've actually spliced it onto the old one down there previously. I think you can see it. And I'm going to do it in such a way that you actually see what I'm doing this time, and you just won't see the warts and moles and veins on the back of my wrist. Now I've saved you the pain of having to watch paint dry or plaster dry, and I've already put the plaster mixed up on the section. It's the same as last time, yeah, just the plaster in the bowl with the burnt umber paint mixed together and put on using a vertical movement of the knife. Now you can probably see the other section down the other end down there. I'll just see if I can zero in on it. Whoops, there. Down there. And you can see I've spliced the two together. I'm not very good at editing, so I tend to do everything in one hit. Anyway, what I'll do now, I'm going to work on this section here, and I'll hopefully get my hand out of the road so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Let's see, there's my hand there, right there in frame. Right, let's get started. Now I've got the plaster and everything on, and it's started to dry. It's at that plasticky stage, and as usual you get the cup, a little bit of water and some very weak mixture of black paint, and you use it to put in the details. Now use vertical strokes at first and kind of put in a few flat faces here and there. That's showing up on the screen, yep. No big hairy fist in the road. And I've got provision for a fault line down the middle down there, as you can see. And bits of white plaster sticking through there. I didn't paint the polystyrene first this time. Anyway, once you start getting the rock face shaped up like that, you then follow your rock strata with the knife, and in a dabbing motion like this, use the point end to get into the crevices, and don't be too consistent with the distance between the rock strata, etc. Nature likes to do things randomly. That's using a big blade. You can use smaller blades as well, which will probably give a better effect. I'll probably do that in a minute or two. I'll just get some of the rock strata movement over the end here. I think I'm still in frame there, am I? Just. Oh well. You'll get the idea. What you can't see you can make up. Let's put some more water in there, make that a bit more watery. The idea is to kind of push the paint into the plaster, and that way later on it tends to stay in those lines. I can come up to this end a bit, and I'll do some around that area there too. I'm doing a rather large lot this time, so I shouldn't do it. You should only do it small bits at a time, otherwise it get away on you. Besides, it's morning tea time coming up soon too, and I'm getting thirsty. Don't make the lines too consistent. Occasionally put a few vertical things in. Give the impression of fault lines and water leakage. Well, I think I've got enough of that put in there at the moment now. I can then start demonstrating how to use the pastels. Now I said use the artist water-based pastels. They look a bit bright at first, but I can assure you after a period of time the whole thing, when it dries out, it goes a lighter and more realistic colour. So don't panic if it looks like it's a Salvador Dali painting. Right, now you've got that section there done like that. Let's have a look what I've done. It looks semi-presentable. I'll zoom up on some of it. Right, now this section here, I'll start to use some of the pastels on. Now what you need is a craft knife like this. Stretch the blade right out so it's flexible, and you get yourself a pastel. Now I start off with a dark brown, and that's the section of, that's what I've got. So I'm just checking to make sure it's in frame, right. And you use a knife to scrape it and flip the powder onto the rock face, as you can see. A bit of black would probably help to highlight a bit more. You can see the black better. Don't worry about if it gets on a little bit too thick, because later on you use a dry brush, and the dry brush spreads out and pushes it into the rock crevices. Now don't be too consistent with your colours. This is a light orange here. Remember before how I used that to put in a rock face, like a fort? I'm trying to make sure I don't just put that there and check up on my viewfinder. Oh, there, that's in view. I have to make a little note of that. What I might do is I might just widen the lens out a bit so you don't see too much of nothing. Right. Let's use a whole variety of pastels. You can even use greens. I'm just looking to see where I put all the other ones up. As you can see, I do get very organised here. Because as you can also see by the mess I'm making, this is not the type of hobby you should be doing indoors. Or if you do, make sure you're a bachelor. I'm not expecting anyone to come around and visit. I'm looking for a different coloured pastel. I think I put one aside somewhere and I can't see where I put it. Technicality. Anyway, I've got a light grey one here. I'll just try using it. A light grey and a white. You know, it seems to go on in rather big clumps sometimes. Don't panic, because the brushing technique will spread that out. Get some grey, I think. Grey is nice. can be quite a tedious job this sometimes. But I think the effort is well and truly worth it. Oh look, there should be another brown one around somewhere, a big dark brown pastel. I appear to have mislaid it. Oh well, carry on regardless. The surface of the plaster is now starting to dry out a bit, and as a result it's starting to lose its shine. You can see this flicking movement of the knife blade, and it's best to do it vertical. Some people say, oh, you should lay the scenery down flat. Not a good idea really, because you like the effect of the gravity of things actually falling on it. I'm just looking at one of my other drawers over here, see if I've got any other things. Oh yes, some more interesting colours. Don't be afraid to use colours like yellow or chrome or such, because you do see those colours in nature. And if you do use them, don't use it in one spot. Tend to move it along and do it as a drift, like it's a fault in the rock or some natural feature. As you can see, that's starting to lose its shine now, and it's beginning to look like rock wall. I don't know where, but a little bit of yellow, I think. That looks bright, but don't worry, it'll soon, they say, comes out in the wash. Because once you've got it all put in like that, use a very soft brush to just brush over the surface. And do it along the grains of the strata that you have developed. You can see now it's starting to form up like a proper rock face. You can actually go through the stage here and put some more little dents and stuff in. That's basically all there is to making a rock face. The other way you can do it is go and visit your friendly volcano and bring back a bucket of lava and pour that around. But I don't think your other half would appreciate that, let alone the airfares. Especially if you use one of her good pots to bring the lava back in. Excuse my dry sense of humour, but you have to be able to laugh sometimes in the world, and as they say, sometimes the crazy people are the most sane ones. You look at all the great artists in the world, they all had bursts of insanity, but then come to think of it, some of the politicians did too, and I don't think you can actually say they actually qualify as the top thing in the intelligence food chain. Well, there you are. That's probably the last of the rock face. Next video I'll probably come along and I'll show you how it looks like in placing it. It's not going to be glued in place just yet, because I've got to do the backdrop behind it. And the idea is to paint a series of rolling hills in the background with trees on them, and then have some half trees on the top here to blend in. I might put a bit more of an orange line there and there. Let's have a look. We're getting that on the system. Oh yeah, it's showing up. Like your breakfast on your tie. Well, I think that might just do it. I'll just put a bit of white in. So when I give it a bit of a brush, the white tends to blend into the colours and lightens them up a lot. Okay, let's try that. If you use the brush very gently, it also puts some type of, like a rock strata on the little rock lines on the basic rocks there. Well, I think that will just about do it. But as I say, you always want to come back and do a little bit more. What you can do is, once the plaster has dried considerably, is you can come back over it with a slightly damp brush and just brush over the surface, and that tends to highlight some of the colours that haven't actually soaked in. Well, let's have a look at that. Put all that tools and rubbish to one side there. Put my hand. I'll use the zoom to come in so you can see what it looks like. Oh yeah, not too bad. I've done better, I've done worse. And that's the original down the other end down there, as you can see. The one I did earlier on. I'll zoom in on that for you. See how it turned out. Well, with the rock faces, anybody can do it. You don't have to be a big artist. As you can see, it meets a lot of, oops there, what's happened there, it's gone out of focus. Well, that's because I got something else impinging on the end of the row of focus line there. I'll go back a bit. I'm still working this camera out. Yeah, I was in too close, that's why. I just did not like it. Also picking up the edge of the white there and triggering the automatic exposure. Well, that's it. I think it's time for me to go in and have a cup of coffee to refresh my blood supply. I've just got a little bit of touching up here and there. A little bit low there like that. Seems like missed a little bit in there. I'll just get a bit of paint in that. And that's basically just making rock faces. Okay, the next video I'll probably show you the final thing in place, and also some of the like grass and other material, and later on there'll be a little section on making trees. Of course there'll be no section on making people. You can leave that to your imagination, the reason why YouTube wouldn't appreciate it. Anyway, brush is down, morning tea time. Catch you later.